what's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we're bringing it right back to our Phantasm movie marathon with the fourth film in the series, and I guess it's the penultimate film so far. It's Phantasm 4, Oblivion. One thing that I really like about the title of this film is how they took the IV part of Oblivion and used that as Roman numerals. That's corny and tacky, but it's fun, which is exactly how I describe the series itself. Anyways, just like with Phantasm 3, I've stopped expecting answers as I've mostly just been sitting back and enjoying what the series is all about, which is a consistently weird, mysterious, confusing, dreamlike vibe. And I'm better for it because for part 4, woo! Gather around, guys. Let's fraternize while we review this thing and let's get cracking. This review is brought to you by the word of the day, fraternize. To be friendly or amiable. Phantasm 4, Oblivion takes us back to the apocalyptic landscape as Mike and Reg continue the good fight, this time apart from one another. Reg is on his own, trying to find Mike, who is on a path of discovery to find out the origins of the tall man in order to learn how to take him down for good, since he seems to keep returning every time. As I kind of mentioned before, this is a weird installment in the series. There's both good and bad elements in the film, of course, so let's start with the good. I love what this film is doing as far as stepping away from the typical structure of just trying to take out the tall man. The first 3 films basically feel exactly the same because they essentially do the same things over and over again. This time, they aren't just trying to stop the tall man. That might be the end goal, but they know that they can't just go in guns a-blazing. They need more information. So what they're doing, or I guess what Mike's doing, is exploring the tall man's history, and everything regarding that history is really cool. I love how they're answering those questions I had from the get-go about who the tall man is, while also ushering in 1,000 more questions at the same time. We've seen the dimension forks in the first film, but they've only ever gone to one place. This time there's a massive hint that these dimension forks are doorways to an undetermined amount of different dimensions and times, and that's really cool, and that opens up possibilities for countless sequels and even spin-offs. That's if they approach it correctly. I always love when sequels add something new. That way the movie stands out overall, and you know what? Phantasm 4, that stands out in the series. Now again, I did say it had bad too, so let's talk about the bad. I don't think the pacing is done very well because for the first time, Mike and Reg aren't on their journey together. They're apart, and they work better as a two-headed beast. They always have better chemistry when they bounce ideas off of each other, and the plot is watered rather thin in this film because most of Reg's scenes don't seem very important. Everything surrounding Mike is vital, and everything surrounding Reg seems to be filler material. That's why it's better to just group them together as they normally do. I feel like if that was the case, this film would have been pretty good because everything else is just so surreal. I want to say it feels like a Phantasm movie should feel like. There's creepy imagery, there's a haunting atmosphere. Where the other films kind of just did this action comedy thing, this film brought it back to what I kind of expect out of a Phantasm film. So that's actually pretty good. Anyways, let's go ahead and break down the score for a second. From an unbiased, technical perspective, it's not bad, but just like the rest of the films, it's still cheesy as all heck, and they were all pretty limited in this film because their budget was a lot lower than the last 2 movies. So they had to use creativity here, and most of the time it does work for what it is, but not always. So my unbiased score is found at 68%, but you know what? I was having a lot of fun with the newly introduced concepts in this movie, so my bias score is actually found at 80%, averaging everything out to a final score of 74%. 74 out of 100 possible stars, which is exactly the same score that I rated Phantasm 3. But if you look at my biased and unbiased scores of both of these films, you realize that I consider Phantasm 3 to have been made better, technically speaking, but when it comes down to having a better time watching a movie, I actually like Phantasm 4 a little bit more. Take that as you will. Now, I would like to hear your thoughts on Phantasm 4, Oblivion, in the comments down below. When we get away from that initial trilogy, what do you remember the most? Do you prefer that trilogy, or do you actually like some stuff that was introduced here too? Let me know below. As for YouTube, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button if you like this review because there's more like it coming out. Hit the thumbs up button because that always helps out my channel. And don't forget about the little bell icon because that'll help notify you when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out!